Joining us now to discuss all of the above is the former Speaker of the House and Fox News contributor, Newt Gingrich. Always a pleasure to see you, Newt. Thanks very much for joining us.
Well, it's good to be with you. And, you know, I think what you started with is the most important political news of the day. Nancy Pelosi has drawn a line between Kevin McCarthy's proposal to have an entire whole new approach to controlling the border and what she is suggesting, which is basically open borders. I mean, to give her credit, Nancy Pelosi, like Dianne Feinstein, is essentially saying she favors an open border and that trying to control the border is wrong, in her view. And I think we ought to have the next 3 weeks a straight-up national debate. If you think MS-13 ought to come in, if you think fentanyl and opiates ought to come in, if you think anybody in the world who wants to show up ought to come in, vote Democrat, because that is the Pelosi-Feinstein position.
Yeah, in fact,
But if you think we need to control the border, then I think you've got to vote for the Republicans.
And
the president is being very helpful. Let's be clear. The president is pushing. I think the president is being very supportive of having Republicans win in both the House and the Senate.
Yeah, and he's been, come on, he's been at, more rallies than you could think of in the last 6 months. He's out every night at different rallies. But, we had Congressman John Ratcliffe on earlier, and he said, so long as Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters are the face, and Elizabeth Warren are the face of the Democratic Party, he's happy going into the midterms, because Pelosi is insisting she will not give President Trump his border wall should she regain the speakership. Here's what she said specifically during that discussion at Harvard Business. Watch this, Newt.
We have to do something other than building a wall, which you characterize very well. In my view, it's immoral, expensive, ineffective, and not something that people do between countries. But in any event, it happens to be like a manhood issue for the president and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I don't understand what she's talking about with the manhood stuff. Your thoughts, Newt?
Sure. Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, that's a standard feminist line. If you're from San Francisco, everything that white males do is bad. And they ought to, as the Democratic senator from Hawaii said, they ought to shut up and get out of the way. But notice what Nancy Pelosi just said. Imagine you lived in a neighborhood. Imagine there were 3,000 people in your town who've decided they'd like to come and live in your house. She's basically saying there shouldn't be a border, that the nations don't have borders between them. This is madness. I mean, somebody has to have the guts to get up and say what Nancy Pelosi is saying is literally insane. It is exactly why today in San Francisco they have people in hazmat suits picking human feces up off the street because left-wing liberalism in the San Francisco model, which is where Feinstein and Pelosi are from, is a kind of liberalism that just doesn't work. It leads to Venezuela.
They don't believe in the rule of law. They don't believe in the rule of law. And this problem in San Francisco, they're trying to frame it as if it's something recent. And let's blame all the rich people because they're somehow not paying enough taxes in San Francisco. This has gone on literally for decades, where it was vagrancy and homelessness was A-OK, and you can live anywhere you want to, and you can use the bathroom anywhere you want to. And do voters realize that this is what will happen to the country, potentially, if you let them into power?
Well, and remember, Feinstein and Pelosi are rich, so they live in enclaves that are protected. They have guards who take care of them. They don't see any of the cost of their policies. But the Feinstein bill in the Senate, which every Senate Democrat co-sponsored, is an open borders bill. Now, Gavin Newsom, the candidate for governor of California, is running on the grounds that he wants to have government-run health care for everybody for free. And by the way, he says publicly he would apply it to people who are here illegally, which sends a signal to the entire planet. If you get sick, move to California. I mean, this is literally madness. And by the way, the same thing's happening with Stacey Abrams in Georgia, where she has said that she represents people who are non-citizens and non-legals as much as she represents people who are legal.
She wants them to vote.
The idea of creating a sanctuary state in Georgia.
She wants the illegals to vote.
The idea of creating a sanctuary state in Georgia, I think, is not something that's going to go over very well.
So what do you think?
And Republicans have to have the guts to be straight.
What do you think happens in the midterms, Newt?
The Republicans keep the Senate and actually gain, I think, a number of seats. I think the odds are now that they were somewhere between the Democrats winning and the Republicans keeping the House. I think anybody who tells you they know what's going to happen is pretty foolish because they didn't have a clue in 2016. I personally think, and I had this feeling, I was in Seattle, Des Moines, and Dallas over the weekend. I sense that the Kavanaugh event, the whole effect of it, the reminder that this is a team sport, that there are no moderate Democrats. There are Pelosi, Schumer Democrats. There are no moderate Democrats. I think that that plus, if we end focused on do we control the border or do we allow millions and millions of people to come here illegally, I think that election is one Republicans could actually win with a shockingly big majority in the House.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Hey, Newt, in 2009, the Republican Party was in a bit of disarray, and it gave rise to the Tea Party. The Democrats dismissed the Tea Party completely, and it was much to their detriment. John Boehner was a casualty of that Tea Party as well. You're seeing the same thing right now in the Democratic Party with this socialist movement. Does this socialist movement coming along, does it concern you?
Well, I think it's a straight-up argument we need to have as a country. The socialist movement exists because of the steady left-wing extremism of American colleges and American college professors who teach things that are just nonsense. How can you look at Venezuela and be for socialism? How can you look at the Soviet Union or communist China and be for socialism? There's no example on the planet of a socialist society not becoming ultimately a dictatorship and not ultimately failing because it simply doesn't work.
But Newt,
so let's have the argument.
But you know what? But Newt, the mainstream Democrats that we've been talking about, they are socialist, quite frankly. The policies that they back, every major 2020 contender for the Democrats who is currently in the Senate is behind the Medicare for All idea from Bernie Sanders, an idea that didn't even fly in his home state. A small state with decent health outcomes, that they couldn't even get it going there because of the oppressive taxation that it would require.
Look, let's be clear. There are no mainstream Democrats. That term has no meaning anymore. In the end, and this is only true even for Joe Manchin, who's a fine guy and voted for Kavanaugh, but people should ask him, who are you going to vote for to lead the Senate? If you're going to vote for Schumer, don't tell us you're not a left-winger. I mean, this is a team sport. You got Schumer and Pelosi over here. And you're going to have somebody like a Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell over there. That's a pretty clear choice. And any Democrat who says to you, I'm really a moderate. I mean, Tester's a good example in Montana. I'm really a moderate, by the way. I'm going to give all the power to left-wing nutcakes.
Right.
Well, that makes no sense at all.
Barack Obama just endorsed Alexandria Cortez. So, you know, she's a self-proclaimed socialist. Very quickly, Newt, should the U.S. do anything against Saudi Arabia right now?
The U.S. should move very carefully and very selectively. There are a lot of people, including the Iranians, who would love for us to break up the relationship.
Right.
But as even the Israelis have indicated in the last 2 days, let's not run off. There may need to be some steps taken, but I'd make them very careful and very cautious.
Newt, great to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Good to be with you.
Newt Gingrich joining us there.